Welcome to the GCSE Film Studies exam preparation video. My name is Mr. Sullivan and I am the Film Studies teacher here at Penrice. The following information is designed to support our Year 11 cohort who will be sitting the two GCSE Film Studies exam papers this summer. During this presentation, I'll talk through some general information regarding the course, including what our students are preparing for in the exams. In other words, what films they are analysing and what key sequences they need to focus on. I'll also talk through the recently released advanced information published by the exam board and how this will give our students a sharper focus for their revision and preparation for the exams. Following this, I will outline the key resources that are available for our film study students, and lastly, I will outline the support you're able to give your child in preparation for the exams. So first up, some general information on the GCSE Film Studies course. You've probably realised that GCSE Film Studies is a relatively new GCSE. There is a common misconception that film studies is simply watching and reviewing films. The truth is that at no point are our students required to write a review of a film. Rather, the thrust or the focus of this GCSE is analysing films in terms of the main film elements, which are cinematography, mise-en-scène, editing and sound. And also students analyse narrative aspects and the social, historical, political and cultural contexts around the film studied. The easiest way really to explain what film studies is about is to say that the GCSE is most similar to is GCSE English literature, except instead of analysing texts like Macbeth and A Christmas Carol, our students are studying and analysing film texts like Rebel Without a Cause and District 9. Now, in terms of how the course is assessed, there are two exam papers that are sat called Component 1 and Component 2. Both of these exams or components are worth 35% each of the final GCSE grade for film studies, and both exams are 1 hour and 30 minutes in duration. So 70% of the final GCSE grade is based on these two papers combined. The remaining 30% of the qualification is achieved through the completion of coursework. The coursework requires the students to write a screenplay extract and shooting script, which is worth 20%, and then an evaluative analysis, which is worth a further 10%. Our students are currently at the stage of adding the finishing touches to this coursework, and they will be required to complete this work this half term before we break up for Easter. So let's start by looking closely at Component 1, or Paper 1. This is the first GCSE Film Studies paper our students will sit on Friday the 20th of May in the afternoon. There are 3 sections to this exam. In Section A, the students are required to answer a series of questions on the 1955 coming-of-age drama Rebel Without a Cause and the 1986 coming-of-age comedy Ferris Bueller's Day Off. In Section B, the smallest of all the examined sections across both exams, students answer 3 brief questions on key developments in film, which is essentially about the history of film and cinema. In the final section, Section C, students focus on a US independent film called The Hurt Locker and critique a specialist piece of writing about the film to explain how this piece of writing has developed or deepened their understanding of the film. Component 2 also has 3 sections. In Section A, students respond to a series of questions on a global English language film, which for our students is the South African science fiction film District 9. Section B covers the global non-English language film, which is the South African crime drama Tsotsi. Finally, in Section C, the contemporary UK film covered is the crime science fiction film Attack the Block. Now, in terms of advanced information, fortunately for our students, this year's cohort have already received some advanced information about what will appear in the exams. What this basically means is that we're given a bit of a heads up as to what will appear across the 2 exam papers. Now, alongside the release of this information, the exam board have released the following statement. I'll let you read that in your own time if you wish by pressing pause. But essentially, what this carefully worded statement is saying is that the advanced information are suggestions of what will appear in the exam, but that we must make sure we still study everything else. The way I see it is, yes, we will still revise in preparation for everything and anything that can come up in the exam, but we just spend a bit more time or put a little bit more emphasis on the areas suggested that will come up in the exams through the advanced information. So what are these suggestions? Well, in Component 1, Section A, the US film comparison, we're advised to focus on the key elements of film form, which is the case across all 6 films studied on the course. But we're being told that genre, code and conventions needs to be a focus for preparing for the exam. This basically means looking at the typical tropes or conventions of teen coming of age films and comparing how these are used in Rebel Without a Cause and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This can include things like typical settings that appear in both films, like the typical family suburban home, or an American high school, etc. Or how certain themes are addressed in these films, like peer pressure or relationships with parents, amongst many other things. It's worth noting at this point, as stated near the top of the screen at the moment, that this section of the exam is worth 50 marks out of the 70 marks available across all of Component 1. It's the biggest section across both exams, and students are expected to spend an hour responding to the questions on these 2 films. Now, to support the students' revision for this section of the exam, they are provided with a revision checklist, which also gives them links to the key scenes they need to watch again and again and again and again. More on that later. All of the revision checklists are accessible through Google Classrooms. The only 2 sections across both exams that we've not received advanced information for are Section B, which are the questions on key developments on film that are worth 5 marks, and Section C, the 15-mark question on the Hurt Locker, and a specialist piece of writing linked to the film. The reason for this is that, as outlined in the revision checklists, the content for these sections of the exams is more limited, so we can already anticipate what needs to be revised. For Component 2, Section A, and the study of the global English language film District 9, our students are again required to focus on the key elements of film form. In addition to this, there is advance notice that the question in the exam this summer will focus on narrative, and more specifically, all of the bullet-pointed areas that are listed here. Once more, the revision checklist outlines these areas for revision for our students and also provides them with links to the key scenes. The advanced information for Component 2, Section B, the global non-English language film GCSE is, you've guessed it, once more asking students to focus on the key elements of film. In addition to this, students are also advised to focus on the narrative representation of age in the film. To this end, the students will be focusing on how younger characters are represented in the film, but also how older characters are represented in the film. For Section C, Contemporary UK Film and Attack the Block, as seen at the bottom of the screen there, students are required to just focus on the key elements of film across the 2 key sequences, which are again linked on the revision checklist. Once more, as you can see, the links to the key sequences are here on the revision checklist, but where GCSE is concerned, only one key sequence is available on YouTube. So the other key sequence will be analysed in class using the DVD in the film, the DVD copy of the film, sorry. So in terms of key resources, there is no published revision guide for GCSE Film Studies, and I'm afraid there's no online learning or revision platform such as Tassomai. The reason for this is that Film Studies is still, as mentioned, a relatively new GCSE. But having said this, there is a range of resources on Google Classrooms that the students can access. So on the Year 11 Film Studies Google Classroom homepage, which all the students have access to, students can click on the Classwork tab, which will give them access to multiple resources. If the students click on one of the existing folders, then they're able to access resources linked to specific sections of the exam to support their revision. Many of the Year 11 students accessed and used these resources to support their revision for the recent PPE Film Studies Component 1 exam that was sat in February. Now, in Google Classrooms, there are revision guides that cover a number of the sections of the exam. As you can see here for Section A, Ferris Bueller, these revision guides are extensive and lengthy, and in most part they're in excess of 50 pages long. They include various different revision tasks that the students can complete to consolidate their knowledge of the film. Here's another one here for Rebel Without a Cause, and also for the Hurt Locker as well. But as I said, there are a range of revision guides there available for our students for the films that are being studied. There's also revision quizzes that the students can complete, again to help consolidate their understanding of the films that have been studied. There are analytical notes on those key sequences that are on the revision checklist that they can have a look at. And there's also knowledge organisers that are accessible for the films, which provide key information on those films. And here's an example from the first page of the Ferris Bueller's Day Off knowledge organiser, and another one here for SUTSI as well. Students also have access to a number of exemplar responses to exam questions, many of which were written by me, as the exam board have only provided a small amount of these. Finally, all of the previous lessons that have been taught to the students over the 3-year duration of the course are also there for them to revisit. But there is obviously a lot of information available in Google Classrooms, and with all this information, I will be condensing and focusing resources I want students to look at for revision over subsequent weeks that now lead up to the exam, especially in light now, obviously, of the advanced information that has now been published. So there will also be new resources added to support our students' revision. And this all finally links to how you can support your child in preparation for the Film Studies exam. So on a weekly basis, starting from Monday the 28th of February, the students will be given a weekly revision task to complete at home that will appear on Show My Homework. They'll have an entire week to complete this, and of course there is the expectation that there will be some additional revision that they'll be looking to complete as well. But this weekly task, is designed to basically support them through their preparation for the exams. So obviously I would appreciate it if you could do everything you can within your power to support and encourage the completion of this task. Additionally, encouraging your child to attend any of the extra revision sessions, both after school and during the Easter holidays, is also really, really helpful. Dates for these additional sessions are yet to be confirmed, but I'm hoping to be able to confirm these times and dates with the students soon. Finally, any support you can give in terms of encouraging your child to re-watch the 6 films and the key sequences is very much appreciated. I think that about covers the main information I wanted to share with you at this stage. If you do have any questions, then please do not hesitate to contact me and I will get back to you promptly. If you feel there's any other additional support your child needs, likewise, please do get in touch. I just wanted to lastly say what a pleasure it is to teach this particular group of students over the past 3 years, and to wish them obviously all the best with their revision in preparation for the exam. And I really hope that come August the 25th, they receive a grade for GCSE Film Studies they are pleased with and proud of. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation on the exam preparation for GCSE Film Studies.